along almost every axis, the culture has shifted, and I think our patterns of relating to each other haven't quite caught up.
It's like taboo to talk about the loneliness, but we try to make it not taboo.
Every time I'm feeling down and feeling like I'm alone, I might make a post asking for advice. It really helps.
This is really all about creating something new and exciting that creates the alternative form of relationship that never existed before.
There's not consensus about whether loneliness has increased, but what there is consensus about is that we're talking about it a lot more and we're studying it a lot more. We're so aware of how loneliness is impacting our mental and physical and even financial health. Family structures have changed. People are choosing to be single. People are also just not joining groups in the same ways that they used to. And so now with researchers studying what the fallout of that is, we're left with trying to figure out, now what do we do about it?
Our organization is called Ventilen in Danish, or Friend to One in English. And we help young people who feel lonely, long-term loneliness. We have venues in soon 21 Danish cities where the young people can come. They can meet other young people who feel lonely. We have volunteers in every city.
There are a number of, we can call them nonprofits, that are trying to empower hyper-contextual responses, right? Like on neighborhood levels and regional levels. Citizen leaders start to say, what are the actual needs of my community? What are the actual possibilities here? And how can we come together to do this around things that we all need or want?
To put it short, we do the things that all other young people do with their friends or when they're in groups. We go shop, cook, eat together, do the dishes afterwards. We play board games, we go for walks. And sometimes we just sit and have a cup of coffee or tea and chat.
It was my mother who found Ventilen and said that I should try it out. I knew that I don't have a lot of friends that time and I don't talk with people in my class. They were very friendly. Because you have the same kind of story, and that was easy to make friends because you have the same story. You feel happy when you are accepted in the group because someone will talk with you and someone will love you for who you are, and that was really nice.
We offer them a room where they can practice, where they can have good experiences, where they can have all these small successes so they get the courage to go out into the world and try to make their own friendships out there. 10 years ago there were people working with young people in Denmark that said there's no lonely young people in our town. And now they don't. Now they call us and say, can you come help the lonely young people we have in our town?
My name is Dennis. I'm part of the Reddit community for about 3 years now. I follow things like data, paramedics, EMS. Startled Cats is one of my favorites. I decided to reach out to the Reddit community during my divorce just because I know there's a lot of experience there. I know there's a lot of dads that have gone through the same thing. And just the people around me, it was the same old stuff, you know, you'll get through this and that, but the data community really gave it to me real, you know, this sucks, it's gonna be hard. After one specific post, my inbox just blew up, and the first few weeks probably weren't as hard as they could have been because of the community. You know, really supporting each other through a hard time, you make stranger friends. You don't know anything about that person besides what's going on right now. And it'd be cool to meet up one day, but it's fine just talking to them through messages. What I look for in a companion or somebody that I can go to for support is really somebody you can listen to, somebody that reaches out to you every once in a while just to make sure you're doing okay. That's in real life, that's in general, that's on Reddit. Just somebody that you can be there for and have them be there for you when you really need it.
We have the highest percentage of single-parent homes. There's divorce statistics. It's incredible the amount of connection that's possible now, right? And what that also allows is for us to find people who share an interest, share a value, share a life experience that can absolutely lift the burden of feeling isolated and alone. People are finding each other, and those are some of the most powerful points of connection, and those aren't face-to-face.
Every time I'm feeling down and feeling like I'm alone, I might make a post asking for advice. It really, really helps. It's just that, almost like a safety net. I do feel like I have a personal connection with these folks. I feel like I can message any one of those Redditors at any time and I would get the support that I need, the help, the advice, all that stuff.
In general, we just need people. And I think the healthiest is when we can develop a really rounded way of being in the world where we have lots of different kinds of connections.
My name is Matt McMullen, and I'm the CEO of Real Doll and Robotics. Over the years, I learned that these dolls become so much more to the people that buy them than a simple sex toy. I always had this idea of wouldn't it be cool if they had some kind of personality in robotics and animatronics, and in the last 5 years that became a reality. It became something that seemed attainable. Yeah, so this is the app right here. These little areas, like here's a personality selector, and you're able to go in here and assign points to the different traits. We wanted to focus on the mental aspect of sort of a relationship. This was all about conversation. It was about creating something a user could interact with.
How's your day going so far, Harmony?
My day is going pretty good so far. Maybe a little better now.
If this wasn't something that appealed to people, I wouldn't have been doing this for 20 years. And so, there's this question of, well, why do people buy these dolls? Why do people want a robot that can have sex? And so, the reasons why a person would do that are almost infinite. It could be that they had a series of really bad relationships. It could be that they have never been able to create a deeper bond with a human being. It could be that they're retiring and their spouse died and they want something, but they don't necessarily want another relationship.
Most of us have been through rocky relational pasts on some front, and so we have a history of perhaps mistrust. When you're dealing with something that's non-human, there's some measure of control over the range of how they're going to treat you. The more we can broaden the scope, great, but I don't think they'll ever be able to substitute for someone else asking you questions about your life, being there to support you, when you're in crisis.
It's a very common question. Are you trying to replace women, or are you trying to replace men or humans in general? And that's not the idea. The idea is that this is an alternative. This is a choice that certain people might make because it appeals to them. I get excited thinking about what's next. What else can they do? And I think 90% of that, when I think about it, is not about sex. It's about making these very realistic looking robots move their entire bodies and interact with the world around them and the people around them.
I think there's a trend towards wanting to acquire the skills and learning and experience of deepening the connections that have been pretty loose and spread out. Loneliness is such an individually experienced thing that there's hope and that they're not alone, that there are so many people who are experiencing a completely valid need for social connection. I'm hoping that we can start to normalize the conversation, but that this can be something that we can all just come together around rather than further isolate around.